This show is proudly supported by Habitats at Home, Australia's leading PVC reptile enclosure specialist. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Habitats at Home, and be sure to visit habitatsathome.com.au if you're in the market for a new PVC reptile enclosure or other reptile accessories. Massive thanks to Tyson over at Habitats at Home. We'd like to thank our podcast sponsor, Barossa Valley, reimagining reptile keeping through innovation. They combine quality, design, and function to create high-end 3D printed reptile products. And if you've got a unique setup or problem, they'll craft a custom solution made just for you. Check them out on Instagram at Veranibay. This show is proudly supported by Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. If you want to drool over some of the best looking green tree pythons in the country, check out Dan on Instagram at red_earth_reptiles. G'day and welcome to Under the Heat Lamp with Joe Mack. Today's episode number 26. And we're going to have to deal with my rugged voice. I've been dealing with a bit of a cold for the last week. I can't seem to shake it. So anyway, today's guest is Dan Marshall from Barossa Reptile Services. How you going, Dan?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Oh, I've been better. We bloody rescheduled this one about 4 days ago. I just can't seem to shake this bloody thing. But alas, I reckon we'll have a bit of a good yarn. We've got a few good topics to cover tonight.
Yeah, I'll have a bit of a crack, see what happens.
Yeah, I can't believe we paused a bit earlier for you to put a jumper on. You're down in Adelaide and I'm up in Cairns. Yeah. It's December. I just can't get my head around that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's I think like I said, it's didn't really have a spring, which last year it was like warmer earlier, but it's really only the last 2 weeks. It's actually got above 30 like for consistent days, sort of
Mental.
thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so different to what I'm used to, obviously. But
yeah.
All right. So for anyone listening who's not familiar with you, can you give us a bit of a rundown on your history with reptiles and what you do now with reptiles?
Sure. I guess I probably didn't have like the normal sort of entry into reptiles. I got the interest from like watching Steve Irwin and stuff, like a lot of kids did, watching him and just that sort of what got me into it as a kid. But didn't really keep anything. I'd go out and look for stuff. I'd keep little skinks at home and that sort of thing. I was only remembering before when I think I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I'd keep like redback spiders in like pockets and that sort of thing. But like into my like teenage years and stuff, I had the interest there, but I didn't really delve like deep into it, sort of thing. And then especially while I was living at home and that sort of thing, my parents didn't really like them, that sort of thing. And I guess like the education sort of wasn't around, so I didn't have it half the time. I didn't even know that I could even keep them. Like you just see, didn't really like it wasn't, as you know, when you're younger, it wasn't like around, like no social media and stuff.
That didn't stop most of the guests I've had on this show. Most of them were like, man, no licenses, whatever, just keeping everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess that was probably my persona a bit. I was sort of always a bit probably careful, I guess, in my younger days. But when I was might have been 20 or something like that, I think I just got a little stimmy python. Always had an interest in venomous stuff. I guess like even like growing up watching things like python stuff and non-venomous stuff never really like interested me. Like it interested me, but like as soon as I saw like venomous on the screen, I'd be like, oh, like my eyes would light up, and it was just always like venomous stuff for some reason that I'd have an interest in. And then like when I was late 20 something, early 20s or something like that, I actually finally got a snake. I had other stuff going on as well, so it's good to finally delve in. And then as you know, it goes from that to 30 odd snakes I got now, which isn't really that many compared to a lot of people, but then from there worked into doing venomous snake handling courses, that sort of thing. Pulled in some other snakes in the meantime, just a few wommers and carpet pythons, standard sort of stuff. In the meantime, doing my venomous handling course, and then started getting more heavy into that, which kind of I think was maybe a good thing. I sort of matured a bit before getting into venomous stuff, and like my mind was probably in the right spot, sort of thing, if you could say that.
Mate, it's good for
Um,
that frontal lobe to develop a bit further before
yeah,
you start filling a spare room with the lapids. I
yeah, pretty,
I was a
yeah.
bit similar. I was a bit similar.
And then like yeah, where I'm based, I live in Newry or Nurutpa, we just call it Newry. That's in one of the towns in the one of the main towns in the Barossa down here in the SA. And when I started doing my training and stuff, there was no catcher in the Barossa. So you got Venom Supplies that's based in just out of Tanunda, which is the next town over. They used to do it back when Peter Merchant owned it. But then they sort of phased it out a bit because they didn't have the time, plus the cross contamination thing. They go
Yeah,
and
for
catch wild
sure.
snakes, and then go back and have to like do all this stuff to actually deal with their captive thing. So they sort of
Yeah.
stopped doing it. And then there was one other bloke that he didn't last too long for some reason. Then the last there was just no one here for like a few years, like 3 or 4 years. There was no one, and people were getting people from Adelaide like an hour away. And I kind of fell into that. Ended up getting my keeper's permit. Got level 1, then obviously level 2. And once you get level 2, which is pretty much everything but taipans, and then you can get your catching permit automatically. So that's pretty much the route I took with it. It's either that or you have to do a handling course, then you have to do a logbook call out. Call out logbook with a licensed catcher is the other way of doing it if you don't have your keeper's permit. But yeah, because there was no one based, like my mentor and stuff that I learned off lived in Adelaide, and he did some call outs out here, but it never worked, like never lined
Of
up.
course,
So
yeah.
it was never going to work. So I kind of went into it a bit green. Like I obviously had the handling experience, but I didn't really have the on site catching, like in
Oh,
you
different
know
worlds. They're different worlds,
different.
aren't
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, then fell into that, and that was I think 20. Got some stuff notes written down here to remember all the dates, but it's about 2021. Started 2021. I got my started the business and started that rolling, and yeah, it's kind of snowballed from there really. So yeah,
Well, I find it very interesting to learn about. Obviously, every state has different requirements for snake catchers, snake keepers, and licensing and all that sort of stuff. And so
yeah.
SA is actually probably not too dissimilar to how Queensland's is now for the keeping, but the catching is different. So there's a logbook situation if you were to go down that route. What does that look like? How does that work? Say if I move to South Australia with no prior experience and I want to become a snake catcher through the logbook route.
So pretty much, in my opinion, it's probably too easy.
Okay.
Hence, you get a few cowboys out there, but like anywhere, I guess. But pretty much, you'd have to do a snake handling course that's recognised by the Department of Environment and Water, who does have permits. You do that, then you just have your first aid, and then you pretty much got to do 10 call outs with a
10 call
license,
outs, yeah.
10 call outs with a licensed snake catcher. And then public liability I think was another thing you had to have. But yeah, pretty much from memory, that's, unless it's changed by now, but that's what it was like when I went through it.
Right.
Yeah, six
And
six or
so
7 years ago.
the 10 call outs, are they literally like you write down notes of the catch and how it happened, and is that reviewed by someone? Is that how that works?
Well, I hope it's reviewed, otherwise there's no point doing it, I guess. But I've only done it for, obviously I didn't have to do it, so I didn't know exactly what you had to write down. But I know
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Brett actually did, who helps me out. He did his logbook with me, and he pretty much just wrote down pretty much what I write down when I have to relocate a snake, which is the address, where you got it from, the date, the time, and the GPS coordinates of where you released it. So
Yeah.
that's, as far as I know, that's all you really have to write. You don't have to necessarily write the situation or the size of the snake or I think you just write the species down and that's it, really, as far as
Yeah.
the actual snake goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty similar to in Queensland. It's called a damage mitigation permit, and you have a return of operations, and you've got to put in that same sort of info as a snake catcher. Like, that's what you got to send that back to them every 3 months. But so it's similar like that. So obviously you do a lot of snake catching now, and that's all logged and sent back to the department.
Yeah. So we do it's actually, now that you say that, it's called, they have changed the name of it. It used to be a snake catching permit. Now it's wildlife controller permit. So
Okay.
they put other wildlife on there, so you can have snake catching, and then you can have all these other species that you can be accredited to deal with as such. Now I forgot what your question was. Sorry.
Something about logbook, something,
Oh,
something.
yeah. So yeah, we pretty much got to do a return. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said before, like address, date, time, and then yeah, GPS coordinates of where you relocate it.
Yeah.
We do that for every single snake, and then we've got to send that in end of financial year.
Yeah.
And I think it's a case of, from what I gauge from it, they probably know the people that do the right thing and the people that don't. So they probably look into returns from the dodgier people rather than the people that do the right thing, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then again, it's easy. You can we obviously do the right thing and by the books, but you could, if you wanted to, you could just you know
You
not
can put
record
whatever you
anything
want in
too.
those logbooks, couldn't you?
Yeah, there's no
Um,
real oversight on it, sort of thing. But
yeah.
I mean, it's
Uh,
impossible to track it anyway. So
that's right. Yeah. Are there any like guidelines or stipulations that you have to adhere to when relocating snakes, like distance from capture site and time held and all that sort of stuff?
yeah, I should have probably should have read through that before I came in here so I could explain it a bit more. But they do change things every little thing, so you have to read the permit every year just in case. So pretty much it has to be within. They actually state it has to be within 2 kilometers
Yeah.
of your capture site, which I rarely go that far. Um, yeah, and then um, yeah, and if it can't be relocated anywhere decent in that sort of area, they say you have to euthanize it, which I've never had to do for that sort of situation. Pretty lucky out here. And then you can't
That's
hold.
that's fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Well,
not. Yeah,
it's interesting, obviously, because you would have seen the all the translocation studies done that basically say that translocating most snakes at practically any distance is a death sentence. So they're just saying, mate, just do it yourself instead of giving it a chance in the bush. It's pretty wild.
it is. Yeah. And like I said, I try to now I've got a fair gauge for the whole area sort of thing, and
Of course, yeah,
you can generally pick where they've come from.
yeah,
Um, especially yeah, browns will sort of obviously get into the resident. It's like 98% brown snakes I catch, and you can sort of normally pick like where they've gone, and you try to do your best to you tell the customer that you're taking them bloody like 20 k's away or something like that. If that's what if their viewpoint is, you're not telling them that you're. I mean, in that reason, I'm not going and dumping it in someone else's backyard, but you're trying to find somewhere decent for the snake that it's not too far away, like any decent person would do. But you obviously don't want them to come back into suburbia either. So
yeah. That's
it's
right.
probably
Yeah,
I gotta say to people, I say to a lot of people, it's the hardest part of the job to find somewhere for them
find somewhere
because
good to let it go. Yeah,
yeah, and then it can get harder with red bellies sometimes. Obviously, you got to find a decent body of water or something similar, creek line, something like that for a red belly.
yeah,
Funnily enough, I don't catch many red bellies, but
Huh.
when I do, it's sort of yeah, it's probably the harder part because you got to actually find a decent spot. Rather, browns are pretty like adaptable, but you still got to find something
yes,
decent. So
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's nothing worse than when you're in the scrub somewhere in your snake catching gear, trying to let go of a snake, pretty inconspicuously, and someone's eyeing you off from a distance, being like, "Fucking, what's this bloke doing over here? He's looking pretty sus."
yeah. That's also hard, and I've literally had to go through that. I'm training a bloke at the moment, Will. He's just finished his call outs with me on Friday, and so I'm going through like release. I've got some sort of release spots that I go to, and just rotate sort of thing. And I sort of say to him, like, even though we know, like, this is logically the best spot for this snake, other people probably won't feel that way. So you just have to be mindful
Yeah,
of it when you're releasing. We're not doing the wrong thing, but you don't want to have to deal with some moron coming past and giving you a mouthful for releasing a snake. Like
Well,
Yeah,
it just goes to show there's more factors to consider than you would sort of suspect at first glance. And I think that those 10 logbook catches with an experienced catcher is probably invaluable to a new catcher who wants to actually come in and take advantage of it. They can learn so much, so many little tidbits from an experienced catcher like yourself. I just know that, for example, in Queensland, when I reapplied for a DMP a couple of years ago, I literally, as soon as I'd clicked submit on the application, which was just a first aid certificate, a venomous snake handling course, and maybe a reference or two, it was immediately granted, and I got it instantaneously. I don't know if they've changed that in recent years, but to get a DMP was as easy as having a snake handling course and a first aid certificate, essentially. As soon as you click submit on the website, it was yours, in your hands. Free to do snake calls as you wish.
that's just It doesn't help anything, does it? Like the whole image. Like I feel like snake catching in general, like the professionalism of it in the last few years has definitely shot up. Like a lot of people, the people that do it the right way anyway. Like you look at like Stu from Sunny Coast Snake Catchers and Tony Harrison and all them. Like they look like they're so professional where they go about it and do all that sort of thing. Compared to like where it was, 15, 20 years ago sort of thing. It has come a long way, but it obviously, I still, especially down here, I feel like it could be harder for people to get it as well, because we still, like down here, like anywhere, you get cowboys, and you're like, and they're the ones that still post stuff on social media, and you're just like, oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's also hard because I guess there's I don't know, there's always going to be a spectrum of these things, and when it's a service that's being offered, people don't really care who they get to do the job. If someone's got a snake in their yard, they're gonna get whoever is available at the time to go and do it. So there's always going to be work for those people out there, regardless of how, I guess, how well they're doing the job. Probably same thing could be said for, I guess, any service. There'd be dodgy sparkies and dodgy mechanics out there, and all sorts of things. But I think you're right, as you said. The level of professionalism has definitely increased, and I think the public as a whole taking snake catchers more seriously in recent years than in years gone. I think we can thank Facebook for that for the most part. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon I see most days a post on a Snake ID page, someone just saying, "Thanks so much for this page." I couldn't even look at a TV screen with a snake on it, a year ago, but now I'm trying to guess IDs on things now. So, it's awesome. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I get people like commenting on my stuff on Facebook and that sort of thing, and saying like, similar things, like they used to not even be able to, like look at a snake or something like that, and now they actually have a bit more of an understanding about what it's like. And I literally get people calling me like to come and come and catch a snake, and they're like, "Oh, normally would have killed it or something like that, but I've seen your page and it's changed our mind on it." And you're like, that makes awesome. You feel like you're actually doing something positive, because sometimes, it feels like you're beating your head on a rock sometimes, like with some of the comments that get flown out there. But but then the positive stuff kind of overrides that, and like a lot of people on social media that say bad shit are just just doing it just because they're assholes.
Well, they're probably much shitty humans anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. That's how I imagine it anyway.
Yeah, and you know what I think? What else is changing is when I was snake catching, like I was talking to you earlier, it's about nearly 10 years ago now, and no one ever wanted to pay for it. So rarely did I charge. I think towards the end I realized I was spending a lot of time and fuel and brain power on figuring out how to fucking relocate these snakes. I was charging $50, just a cash in hand thing back in the day. And there was this one guy who had an eastern brown snake in his yard, and he goes, $50, mate, I'll just put a shovel through it. I was like, what do you do? Like, it's so hard.
Yeah, I think those sort of situations, it's happened to me a few times. The old, like, almost blackmailing you in a way, like, they emotional blackmail. Well, they know that you don't want to see it killed, and they say that, and it's just like, well, fucking looks like I'm doing it for nothing, I guess. Like, I can't really have it on my conscience that the snake died because I didn't go out there. Like,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'm pretty lucky, like where we are here, like the demographic around here is pretty good.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
and so like, and I got a habit. I've been a routine of saying it on the phone that we charge a call out fee, and 99% of people like understand now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really I think I've only had one person um, this season that said I'm not paying that, and it's actually a funny story. One, he was like probably 2 minutes up the road, so I'm like, oh, bloody hell. He wasn't going to kill it. He's just like, I'll just let it go, and then it went onto the road or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I'll just come down, whatever. And keep in mind, this dude didn't want to pay. Rock up to his place. He's got a brand new bloody Land Cruiser in the driveway,
Of course.
caravan, something like flash house. Tells me while I'm there that he works, fly in, fly out in the mines or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was banging on about. And then I caught the stake. It ended up coming out into the road when I was there, like when I rocked up. So it was easy enough for me to get. And he's saying, "Oh yeah, good," just thanking me, that sort of stuff. And it's people like that, funnily enough, that say stuff, not necessarily people that could probably less afford it, sort of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was probably yeah. So that sort of stuff happens every now and then, but it's getting less and less. And I think, like you said, I reckon the social media side of things, as bad as social media is not good in a lot of ways, it has helped, show what we actually do and what we go through and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely helped.
Absolutely. So obviously you're in a very different climate to what I'm in, and I know in my snake catching experience, I was practically catching snakes throughout the whole year. But where you are, that doesn't happen, does it?
Nah, it's pretty much typically it's sort of even like mid-October. Like you'll see like little spats of it like in September and early October, but it's really like mid-October, late October before it really even sort of kicks off. Like, and you start getting consistent call-outs, and then you have like normally a big rush from October, November. And it's just flat knacker, and then it almost plateaus going into Christmas. And it's sort of a
Yeah.
common thing over the whole state. I've talked to other snake catchers. It seems to it's almost like once the weather stabilizes at higher temperature, everything sort of settles, I feel. And then
Yeah.
it goes into Christmas, and it's normally not too busy. And then you obviously get, February, March here is when the babies hatch. And then you get another influx again towards the end of the season, like February, March, April, where you get a lot of hatchlings and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's sort of when jumps up like this a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then you get weird seasons. Like that's pretty much what it was like last season. But then this season had bugger all, like September, October was sort of late, but it was still, like I said, didn't really have much of a spring. And then it's really like the last 2 or 3 weeks really that it's actually doing like a decent amount of call outs. So
What's a decent amount of call outs per day?
probably 4 to 6
Yeah.
for
And
us. Like
that's a big day. That's a big day of catching snakes. 4 or 6 snakes. You're busy.
it's obviously like me and Brett talk about it a bit. Like it's obviously not what what happens in like Queensland, New South Wales sort of thing, where obviously like the population density plays into it a bit too. Like down
Sure.
here, it's nowhere near as population dense, which I kind of look like it as a positive thing as well. Like if I'm not busy, it sort of means that people aren't having altercations with snakes and that sort of thing, which is a good thing as well.
It's a very
But
positive outlook.
yeah. And I don't rely on it as such either. So I run a carpentry business as well. So I pretty much do that, and then I have the ability to go off and do call outs as I need to, sort of thing.
Mate, I was going to ask you, how do you juggle a full-time snake catching business with just everyday life, let alone everyday life plus a carpentry business? How do you manage your time?
I don't know. It's one of those things. Oh, you have your days like this, especially this last week. I'm kind of, because we had this scheduled for Thursday, I think, didn't we? And last week was nuts. Like I was doing, I can't remember what I did. I was probably doing like 3 or 4, like a couple of days. I did 3 or 4 snake calls, and I was still managed to fit in like 6 or 7 hours on the tools as well.
Wow.
And
That's mad.
it challenges you, but it ebbs and flows so much. So that's why I can't really rely on it either, because then you'll get like 2 or 3 days of nothing of
Yeah.
snakes, and then you sort of like, oh shit, like got to do something. So, and I got caught out the last few seasons. I've sort of like, oh no, I'm just like 1 week I'll be busy with snakes. So I'm like, all right, next week I'm just going to do snakes. I'll just stick with that. Stop, like burning myself out, and then the phone won't ring.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you did sitting at home twiddling your thumbs.
Week off, mate. Week off.
Yeah. So then I've just taken it now, where I just go to work, do like carpentry, do what I can do, and if I get a call out, I get a call out, and I just deal with it. And yeah, it works. It does generally work out. But yeah, it can be a little bit heavy sometimes. But yeah, especially with like some of the call outs, as you know, some of the call outs you get are pretty hectic, and depending on what happens, it can play on your mind mentally a lot too. So I guess that's the other side that people probably don't talk about a lot too, is like the mental side of things with doing like what we do, like with snakes and that sort of stuff. It's dealing with people too. So
The people are always the hardest part about it. But have you got any examples of experiences that have sort of played with your mind a bit? Sorry, I know that's a question that could put you on the spot, but
yeah, I knew something. You'd probably ask something like that. I guess like you get there would be. There's probably one last season where this bloke rang me and he's just like, oh, I got a brown snake. I'm like, yeah, right. Went there, and it digging through this pile of rocks, and I see the snake in there. My guy is in there. Went to pull him out and like went to grab him by the tail, and his tail just like almost wasn't attached. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And I turned around to him like, mate, did you ever go at this thing? He's like, oh yeah, I thought I missed him. So he's like, he's tried to smash a snake, thought he missed it, and then he's decided to call me, and then I'm like, well, I made him feel like shit too. I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to. He's still alive, obviously. I'm gonna have to like take time out of my day now. I work another job as well. I'm gonna have to go to the vet, do the right thing, and go and get him like euthanized like correctly. And like that sort of thing. Sort of he did feel pretty bad, but at the same time, it's just like
it was a bit too little, too late, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then that's actually in that same exact day, I got a message about 10 minutes later from someone. This is probably 20 minutes away from where I live, and I got a message back not far from where I live of a photo of a red belly that got run over, and that was within 10 minutes of that happening. And like it was a like red belly.
Double whammy.
And it was the red belly would have been, as you know, with snakes, it's hard to tell how old, but like it would have been probably at least a 4.5 foot red belly and thick as.
Yeah.
And someone's just cleaned it up on the road, and that was like within 10 minutes of that. And then like so you get a couple of those sort of things in a row, and you're like,
yeah.
I
was gonna say it's hard to have a good day after either one of those scenarios, let alone 2 in 10 minutes. It's tough.
Yeah,
definitely plays with your head a bit. That's not fun at all.
Yeah, it's it makes you wonder sometimes, and it obviously doesn't put you in a good mood at all. And luckily, those sort of things don't happen, frequently. But when they do, it sort of does mess with you a little bit, because you're obviously out there trying to do the right thing, and you get one person that obviously harm the snake, and then someone else who potentially went out of their way to run something else over, and it can blow you a bit, but yeah.
Well, on the converse, have you got a favourite story? Anyone that stands out in particular as a particular, like a highlight of your snake catching career as a whole, even? Mate, I'm coming out with the on the spot questions now, eh?
Yeah. I was trying to think because I knew this sort of question you probably ask. Probably a couple of years ago, I got this one on, obviously the media chased this one too, but I caught a brown snake on a roof, which is like, obviously like catching snakes on roofs down here is pretty uncommon. Unlike
that's atypical, yeah.
Yeah. So this bloke sent me a photo of this brown snake. It's just a big flat sort of roof. Still to this day, I don't know how it got up there. But this brown snake with its head over the gutter, just like sitting there like that. I got there and it was sort of still there, but then I ended up I got on the roof and it went up like the flashing thing that goes up the side of the roof sort of thing. It got in there and I'm chasing this thing around on a bloody roof. Like it was under the
roof.
sheets. Yeah.
Like a cat on a hot tin roof.
and then it ended up, I don't even know how it happened. I got to the top of this roof and he was up there and I rattled something trying to get him out, and then he shot down to the bottom to the gutter line where the gutter was again, and he poked his head out. So I'm tapping up like where his tail is under there, trying to get him to go, and I'm like, and it's dawned on me that this thing is to get away from me, he's gonna shoot off this roof,
off the roof, yeah, of course,
and off himself. Like, and I'm like, shit, like what am I gonna do? And I ended up it did what I thought it would do. It just took off, and I've ended up like almost mid-bodying it. Like I just thought he was going to go off, and I sort of probably mistimed it a bit too. And I just didn't want to miss him when he went for it. And you can see in the video. I have to send it through to you or something, but he literally mid-bodied this brown. I then got him off, so then this dude's got this video of me on this roof with a brown snake up like that, and I'm like, did you get a video of that? Like, because you'd probably...
Please,
like,
did you get a video of that?
Yeah, because no one would believe you like, if you sort of said that. That was a pretty crazy one.
That's a damn good one. I had a brown snake flying through the air once too in my snake catching days. I think in Townsville when I was snake catching, I probably caught 50 to 100 tree snakes, 50 to 100 carpet pythons, 5 eastern browns, and 1 coastal taipan. That's literally like the whole lot. But this eastern brown was in this hot pipe in like a scrap steel yard one day, and it was in there, and I was like, I couldn't flush it out, I couldn't like poke it out because the bit of steel was, I don't know, 5 or 6 meters long. So I managed to coax a couple of blokes to come out and help me, and I was like, you guys lift it up at one end, and you shake it, and when it comes down the bottom, I'll just, herd it straight into the bag. And, snakes don't usually like going downwards, and I learnt that day, because these blokes were holding this pipe over their heads, shaking it, and the brown snake shot out, up, and over their heads, and onto the ground behind them. It was a learning experience.
Oh, you get plenty of them, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. But you know what? There's like literally there's on the ground, hands on the tools training like that you can get as someone learning through having to do those call outs with a catcher, which is awesome. Like, because there's obviously all those little tidbits that you need to learn, and I'm thankful that I got to learn them mostly on tree snakes and pythons. Like, if you want a snake to move backwards, tap it on the face. If you want a snake to move forwards, you tap it on the tail. So if you've got a brown snake wrapped up in a bit of old mesh or whatever it is, you now have some skills to try to figure out which way you need to make it go based on whatever other factors there are contributing to the decision making of the catch. There's a bit of a ramble, but there's a lot of behavioural things that you can get pointed in the right direction with assistance, I reckon.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of trying to do with the bloke that I'm training now, Will. Obviously, like as I said before, I was pretty green when I came into it, and I learned a lot the hard way, I guess you could say, because I didn't really have anyone to like learn on the job sort of how it goes sort of thing. I just got chucked in the deep end essentially. But I'm really going like above and beyond with like, this dude I'm teaching now, and he's loving it. Like he's all about it and that sort of thing. And luckily he had a background in snakes and keeps lacies and that sort of thing anyway. So he sort of had a bit of an idea. He did a course once again with probably someone that probably shouldn't have. So that's another thing we could add, that if you're a snake catcher, you can run a course. Pretty much.
What? That's it. That's all you need to do.
I think I'm not sure, but maybe they have to submit like a course outline before they can run them. But essentially, if you're a snake catcher, you can run a course.
Right.
which is then when you get the people that get the permits that shouldn't get the permits wanting to make more money as
They
from
run
those sort of
courses.
people. That's the sort of people that end up
Oh,
doing that shit. So then
joyous.
so Will ended up doing one with someone who's not reputable. And he didn't know, he had no idea. He just picked the one that was available at the time.
For sure. Yeah,
And
yeah.
he, luckily, this bloke who does the training posted a photo or something like that, and someone sent it to me, and I sort of almost poached Will from that. I
Yeah,
saw him
nice.
because he was local, and it's small sort of country townish sort of vibes all through the Barossa sort of thing, and I ended up sort of poaching him and sort of said, "Oh, do you want to come across and do your call outs and stuff with me?" And this bloke that he learnt off wasn't local anyway, but he
Yeah.
probably wanted to get someone out here to like compete with what I'm doing,
Gotcha.
sort of thing, because
Yep, yep,
that's the
yep.
sort of person he was. But yeah, ended up poaching him and being at it. From then on, he's from seeing the light from then and seeing what this other bloke does, and he sort of thanks me like all the time. He's like, "Oh, thanks so much for reaching out," and like he's so thankful for me. He's like, "Oh, your
Yeah,
training's
yeah.
just you try," like he just goes on about like he's loving like learning all the right things, and I'm trying to go a bit over and beyond with like teaching him things too. Like he's done his 10 call outs with me, but he's probably been on another 10 where we haven't got the snake, but I can actually show him, different things
Oh,
of how to go about it, and just
yeah.
things that no one would ever really tell you.
Yeah. There's
Um,
there's always something to be learnt from every
but
call,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and there's so many little, like you said, little behavioural things. Like you're pretty much trying to use that instinct against them, pretty much, to
That's
a lot of the
that's the whole
time.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and like
Hey, have you
the
thought
the
about doing snake courses?
Uh, not really. There's probably not quite the demand for it, like down here. Like there are
Yeah.
people that do it, and I've got a mate well, actually my mentor, Simon. He runs courses. He's based in Adelaide, and he runs courses.
Right.
Probably like a couple times a year, and I'll get on and try and help him, like as a backup hand or and that sort of thing on his courses. A little bit. But apart from that, it sort of doesn't really interest me too much.
Yeah, it
If,
sounds
if
like
it
you've
was
got
more of
enough on your plate as it is.
yeah, that's the other thing. And I do enjoy teaching people a little bit. I sort of probably struggle with trying to get the stuff out of my brain, kind of thing. Like I
Yeah,
know it's
yeah.
all there, but it's like I struggle to explain it sometimes, I guess. And like I guess that's where it's good. Like on when you're like actually on the job with a snake, you can actually really talk someone through it a bit and explain things
Yeah.
to them. So, yeah, it's been really good. So I will have, Will helping me out. For like properly. Hopefully, we're going to submit his permit this week. Hopefully, or see his
Awesome.
permit application this week. So I'm hoping in the new year soon he'll be able to help, and I'll actually be able to go away for a weekend or something like
Haha.
that,
Yeah,
which would be
yeah.
nice.
Well, good luck, Will, because I'd like to see Dan have a day off.
It's funny like watching like because obviously he's going to come on call outs with me or had been, and he's going to be able to. He's the one who's going to catch, obviously. So I'm just like, especially if
Yeah.
you get a nice snake, I'll get a red belly, and like I just want to catch red bellies because we don't catch too many, and I'm like, I'm just going to stand back and let him catch catch them. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but
No, not like
yeah,
that. Don't grab it like that. Get like this.
yeah.
Grab the rock.
We had
Other side.
we had we had one last week. It was about 8:30 at night, and some bloke went to light up his Weber, and he had a bloody red belly curled up in there in his Weber
That's
cube.
classic. That's
It is,
classic.
yeah.
A red belly in the Barbie.
Oh, and I've told him this too. Like, if there's anything that's in a weird spot, it's probably a red belly. Like,
Yeah, right.
it's just, well, it seems to be down here, just anything weird, it seems to be a red belly, like car engine bays, just weird spots. Like, this is the second Weber Q one we've done this season.
Wow.
So,
And like, are the texties normally just on the move,
uh,
or in just more
yeah,
basic spots, like in the shed or that sort of thing?
yeah, generally, like retaining walls, that sort of stuff that you get a
Of
lot of.
course.
Um,
Joyous.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, obviously then you get like inside stuff as well. I had a couple of them this week as well where they sort of had one actually that was caught probably like a 2 foot brown in a laundry that was half caught in a mousetrap.
Oh,
And I had, when the bloke rang, I had these images in my head. He's like, oh, it's a baby snake and it's stuck in a mousetrap. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, it's a hatchie that's crushed and pretty much dead, like by the mousetrap.
yeah.
And we get there, he's like, oh, you can see through the window of the laundry. So we look through the window, and I'm like, oh, and like all of a sudden it got a bit more positive. It was like a 2-foot brown, like a little bit chunky. It wasn't too skinny, but the mousetrap had just pinched his skin enough that would stop him.
Yeah, right.
Would stop him from moving and going. He couldn't go anywhere, but it wasn't like hurting him. I mean, it probably would be hurting him, but it's not going to, seriously injure him or anything
broken
like that.
bones or done internal damage or anything.
And then, I actually, when we walked in there, and there's another one we had to do, but I got a little video of it before we caught it, and I posted that. And then last week, when I posted it, ended up with bloody, 1.6 million views or something like that.
Holy shit.
It was so random. I kind of thought, that's the sort of thing that probably gets views, but not that it's about that, but I just sort of the snake wasn't, in immediate danger or anything like that, and it wasn't going to get hurt. It just had a bit of a pinched skin sort of thing. Got a quick video, and then it just took off, and they had 1.6 million views and 2,000 likes or something stupid like that.
Wow, that is mental.
For something silly like that, the only thing that annoys me with that is that it's sort of, those things go viral, and then you try to do educational stuff and never really
never lands, does it?
Yeah, which is probably the annoying part of it, but
well, we always want to see this. Well, not we, but I mean, society always wants to see the sensationalized stuff, the stuff that makes them a bit shocked or makes them go, "Wow." Yeah,
exactly. Short attention spans too.
Yeah, same. Do you see me glaring off just then? Attention spans lost. But you keep quite a few critters. You've got a dugite that I produced a few years ago, which is fucking awesome. I love that because I don't know of anyone else that has any still alive, which is such a shame. But yours is literally the only one that I know of that's still kicking, which is awesome.
Yeah, right. Well, this one's powering along. Not sure if it's male or female actually, but it'd be. I'd try and get some decent photos of it, but it's a bit of a prick sometimes. It's
just busy, just really busy.
Busy, and it's always hungry. You literally
just like his mum.
Yeah, that must be it. Must be it. You literally put your finger anywhere near, sort of thing, and he's just up there. What's going on? Open mouth, that sort of thing.
Man, I was gonna say that the female, I don't have her anymore, but she was a snake that she did things every so often, and it's important to have these experiences, I think, where a leopard will do something and you go, oh, holy shit, that's something that you can do. Okay, all right, I know. That's something that you are physically capable of now. You'll open up the door and you go to poke the hook in to see, lift up the hide or whatever, and all of a sudden she's shot straight out past the hide, all the way up the hook and past your arm, and you're like, okay, all right, yep, you can spring load out of that cage like no one's business. Got it, noted. Look, fucking go in there with a shield next time.
Yeah, he must have a bit of his mum in him, I guess, by the sound of it, because he's he or she, I'm not sure, but he I'll call him a he. He does sort of do random things like that. Probably 8 times out of 10, he's fine. But then, today, I was cleaning him today. I went to put him in the tub, and he's just flipped out and just tried to take off, and never really had too many shots, but sort of just almost just doing a brown snake sort of thing, and just flipping out a little bit.
Brown snakes, yeah.
Pretty much, but yeah, it's a stunning snake. I love it.
Good snake.
Still, still pretty much jet black. Well, it is jet black. And then a little white chin on there. So
that's so cool, man.
Yeah, I'd love to, if I can pick a day when it's sort of a bit calm and maybe a bit of a colder day, I'll probably try and get it out and get some photos, actual proper photos. Because I've only really. Other ones I've said to you, when it's in the tub at the bottom there when it's chilled out. Something like that. It's the only ones I could really get anything decent. But probably, what would it be? Probably 1.2 probably at the moment. 1.2 meters or 1,200, something like that.
Good.
I sort of haven't, being a brown snake, I haven't tried to, chuck a heap, chuck a heap of food at them. But yeah, would take every time.
Every single time. Every single
Yeah.
time. What else? What else is in your collection?
So I got dugite, and I've got some texties. I've probably got one adult texty, which is
Nice.
an SA locality. That's a absolute spastic. But then I've got another two Queensland Browns that they're probably they're probably about similar to the dugite in size.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be good because they've almost got a bit of a dugite thing to them. They've got like speckles and like just
Oh,
cool sort of
cool. Yeah,
colorations
nice.
on them and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm hoping like being like the Queensland sort of variant, they're probably gonna get a like decent size. So
Yeah.
got a couple of them, some Death Adders, just a couple Barclays, Renmark Mulga, St George Mulga, some tiger snakes, just a few southeast SA tiger snakes that I've got from Venom Supplies over the last couple of years. They've got the outdoor pits there, and they had a bit of a accidental clutch last year, so I've got a couple of them. And then one that's a bit older from a few seasons ago. But they're cool snakes as well. What else have I got? Then just some pythons as well. I got a couple of wommers that I sort of breed every year just because it's easy. I just put them together and they breed. Then I just
nice. Yeah.
then just sort of standard stuff. Got a albino Murray Darling and a couple of stimmies. I've still got my first stimmy that I ever got.
Awesome.
Sort of just keep him around. And I've actually, it's kind of cool. I got two Murray Darlings that are actually Loxton locality. So Loxton is sort of, I don't know how to explain this, not on the River Murray, but it's sort of near the Victorian New South Wales border, sort of going up towards that way sort of thing. Anyway, it's a town up there, and the parents were wild caught legally, I'm told. That's all I've been told. And these two, these two came from there, so they're like legitimate like locality snakes, which like
that's very cool. Very, very
which
cool.
Which is sort of the route I'm taking with my keeping at the moment too. Obviously, like you sort of for a period there, I'd sort of get a few little morphs in the children's pythons and the stimmies and that sort of thing, but never really did it for me. And then now I'm sort of trying to get like a lot of my stuff is locality based, which is sort of the route. I'm trying not to keep too much either because obviously the time thing as well. I don't want to, just have a heap of animals and struggle to, keep them in decent shape. So I try to keep the numbers down a little bit, but
30 snakes is nothing to sneeze at. That's a few hours a week,
Yeah, I sort of like probably most people do. I sort of try and do a little bit during the week, just little spots, and if there's water bowls tipped over, then I'd normally sort of save it for a Saturday or something like that to actually spend a decent amount of time in there. But then obviously snake season, you sort of like lose that little bit, the availability to be able to do that. But like I said, it's make work. But then I've got the cross-contamination thing to worry about, so I'm a bit careful with that as well.
Of course.
If I'm going out catching, if I go out, I'll do stuff in the snake room, then I'll get a call out and go and do that, but I probably won't go back in there unless I've changed clothes and had a shower or whatever, something like that. Sort of try to be a little bit sort of safe about it. So, But got a couple of lacies as well, so.
Oh, nice. Did you keep them outside?
Planning to. They're still small. So I just got them inside at the moment, but I will, I'm going to do something. Hopefully over the Christmas break, I'm going to pull my finger out and actually do something. Get them out there.
Keep them outside year round, you reckon? We aim for that?
Well, it should be able to. I know a lot of other people out like down here do that quite easily. As long as you like anything, keeping them outside, as long as you can give them variance and give them an escape either from the extreme heat or the cold, so they can actually get away from it. I don't think people down here sort of go to the extent of putting heat in the hides or anything like that. Even over winter, they just sort of let them go down and ride it out. And they're pretty resilient, the bloody lacies. So,
Oh, you
But
feed them up when they need the food, and then I'm sure they can handle a couple of months in a box.
yeah, I mean, like the plate, like winter down here is can be pretty brutal, but like that's the range that they're in. You know, gets pretty bloody cold anyway, so it's
Yeah.
not too dissimilar.
Yeah. So I think I might be a bit out of the loop these days. Maybe I'm not checking the Aussie Elapids Facebook group very often anymore. But what's the Elapid sort of keeper community like in your experience? Because I don't really see too many people, like not too many people at least publicising their Elapid keeping these days. So I don't know if they are still doing it and they're not publicising it or what. Are there many Elapid keepers in South Australia?
There's a few, but obviously it wouldn't be like it is in the eastern states. There's not really like a community like of us or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like I've talked, even like the herping and that sort of thing isn't really like a massive thing. Like I never really went herping because like a lot of my mates around here never into it, and it's kind of shit just going by yourself. Like I have done it, but like it's not that fun going by
It
yourself.
is a bit shit going by yourself. I agree.
Yeah, so like, and then you're not really like that encouraged to like sort of go out if you're by yourself. But so like the herping thing isn't that big, but now I'm pretty good mates with Brett, who does who we do the podcast with and all that. And we're sort of planning a few trips, hopefully, to go and do some stuff. But yeah, generally like there's I wouldn't say there's a great deal of venomous keepers in SA. Not necessarily a lot that I'd talk to or anything like that, but I've got a handful of people we can sort of bounce off and that sort of thing, and that's sort of keeping the circle small is not the worst thing either.
I concur entirely. The podcast. Let's talk about that. It's the Snake Catchers podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, sort of a new thing that we sort of came up with. So I do it with Brett Cottle, who he runs his own snake catching business, but he sort of helps me out sort of around Gawler and Williamstown, which is up the southern end of the Barossa. And we're talking about it for a while, and it's like whenever we catch up or on the phone, we just talk about call outs, and you obviously just catch up at the end of the week. We'd sort of have a call and talk about what we got up to and that sort of thing. Well, I wonder if people would actually listen to that, because there's not really to my knowledge, there's not really a podcast in Australia that just talks about, snake catching and that sort of thing. At least what we go through and that sort of thing. There's obviously like a few reptile ones, and your podcast is, I've listened to that a lot too. But we sort of wanted to be a little bit different as well from that. So, we just pretty much just started recording and just started talking about our weekly calls and just some of the interesting things that come up, and then try and cover a bit of behaviour. The idea was to try and talk about a bit of behaviour and get a few clips put over the top of that and try and share them sort of on the social media and that sort of thing, just to try and even get a bit more awareness out there as well. Pretty much just try to talk about call-outs, and then we'll try and do some topic sort of episodes as well, just on certain things like, behavioural stuff, or I think we got the one coming out this week. It's about statistics, which Brett loves his numbers and that sort of thing. So it's sort of
good.
The Australian dangerous animals, and going through what the actual most dangerous animals in Australia are, and it's not exactly what you think they are. Just that sort of thing, and we'll just see where it goes. I guess it's a little bit different, and maybe people will be interested in it, maybe not, but we'll just talk about what we go through and see where it goes, I guess. So
yeah, well, mate, I've listened to a few episodes now, and I think I learned at least one thing each episode that I didn't know. So that's what it's all about, eh? Listening to a podcast, you're listening to a few bits and pieces that you weren't aware of. It's great. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, so I definitely recommend to anyone out there listening to this one that might be interested in something more in the snake catching vein. Definitely get around the Snake Catchers podcast. It's a cool one. Yeah,
it's definitely something different, but I guess it's sort of just trying to bring people in a bit more on what we go through a bit too, and just a bit more in depth, I guess, and just a post like social media post, and talking about it. We actually go into a little bit more depth and yeah, see what happens.
It's certainly a bit of behind the scenes style sort of listening. I feel like, yeah,
Yeah, that's it. So, and
yeah,
it's getting more education out there too, which never hurts either. So,
agree, agree. All right, Dan, I think I'm pretty much exhausted my topics here. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover?
um, no, I don't think so. I think I've probably rambled on long enough.
You did the perfect amount of rambling in my eyes, mate. It was great.
Yeah, no, I think we've we've done pretty well there. So
Covered
yeah,
it all. You're checking
sure.
your notes too. I'm just looking at mine as well. Like, yeah, we got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
I thought
so
yeah,
go ahead.
You're right.
Yeah,
I was
no,
just
you're
gonna
right.
say, I sat down the other night and I'm like, oh shit, I should probably like once I get like talking, I'm alright. But I always think like later on, I'm like, oh shit, I wish I said that. I wish I said that. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I better write some notes just to make sure I don't forget
Well,
anything I actually want to talk about.
I didn't say to you at the start, but I normally say to the guests like, the questions are going to be about you, so you know all the answers. Like it's you do
just,
know the answers, so it's all good. There's not going to be no secrets and no surprise questions. So, um, yeah.
yeah.
Right. Well, for anyone listening, and they want to see what you're about, whereabouts can they find you on the socials?
So yeah, Barossa Reptile Service on Facebook. That's where I post like probably a majority of my stuff. Just seems to where it gets most of the traction, so I'll go with that. Dan Marshall Reptiles on Instagram. Probably not as active on there, but I do sort of post a bit here or there. And then if you want to listen to the podcast, it's the Snake Catchers podcast on Spotify and YouTube if you want to get a bit of a dose of snake catching insight and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. I will most certainly put all those links in the description of this video as well, so anyone looking for those don't have to look too far. They're just scroll down a touch. Mate, it's bloody great chatting with you. I really appreciate you coming on. I think you're doing some really good work down in South Australia for snakes and snake catchers alike, mate. I think you're doing a great job. So thanks very much for coming on. Thanks for having a chat.
Nah, appreciate it, mate. It was an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. And as always, everyone, thanks so much for listening. Feel free to reach out on Instagram at joemac.uthl. If you've enjoyed the content, please consider liking, subscribing, and following along. That wraps up episode 26. Thanks very much, Dan. Appreciate it, mate.
Peace.